Police show up and they cannot get into the house without Chris's approval. The police officer speaks to Chris on the phone and asks for the garage passcode because he could get through the garage with the passcode, and then also ask Chris for permission to go inside the house and look around. Chris says passcode doesn't work. So finally Chris arrives, and different clips of him walking up to the house, and he's just kind of like walking all slow-mo. Someone was that worried and there was like a police officer at your house, wouldn't you kind of move with urgency? Well, Chris was walking just kind of like slow. So police do a search of the home. They noted that nothing looked out of the ordinary. The only thing that was weird was Shanann's belongings were inside the home still. Nicole had said that Shanann had a bit of OCD, so she was always cleaning. Everything was organized. Everything had a place. Her house was never messy. I believe Nicole is the one who found Shanann's cell phone, which was in between the cushioned seats in the couch. And Nicole said that Shanann would never leave the house without her phone. There's just no way. Also, another thing that was missing were the bed sheets from the girls' bedroom and the master bedroom. So everything else was there except for the bed sheets. Chris had spoke to the police and said that when Shanann got home, they had a discussion about their marriage, and they also got into a fight. And then he woke up at 5 a.m. and then he left for work. So that's when local news came and did an interview of what was going on, and they interviewed Chris. Now, Shanann's mom told Chris not to do the on TV interview. She didn't want him to because she didn't think he was guilty. Normally, if you do those interviews, people will always point the finger and say, you're guilty. And later on, Shanann's mom said, thank God that he did that interview, because if you watch it, Chris is a terrible actor. In the interview, they're asking, do you know where your wife is at? And Chris is saying, no, I don't know where my wife is at. I just want them to come home. And he's like, has this little snicker, and he's kind of laughing. And the whole thing is just weird. If your wife and 2 children are missing, you're probably not going to laugh. I don't think you see him cry or shed a tear once. It's the strangest thing. On August 13th, it is reported on Chris's phone that he is going through and trying to delete text messages. He's also trying to delete anything that has to do with Nicole and get rid of any evidence. Nicole and Chris, the bad Nicole, hold a 51-minute conversation on the phone. She states that she had no idea that his wife and children were missing. She had no clue what was going on. We don't know what they talked about for 51 minutes, but suspish. Then it's reported on Nicole, the bad Nicole, on her Google that she was looking up Shanann Watts. So this was August 14th. She was Googling Shanann. On August 14th, the bad Nicole, she also Googles, can cops trace deleted text messages? She spent a good amount of time Googling how to get rid of text messages, which, again, weird. I don't know how she didn't get in trouble for tampering with evidence, but what do I know? I really don't know anything. Of course, when the FBI interview Chris, he denies having an affair and says, quote, nah, I wouldn't do that. End quote. He also says it is possible that Shanann may have been having an affair. Chris also explains that they fell out of love with one another and that the relationship was not going well. The FBI informed Chris that he is a suspect and asked him if he would do a polygraph test, which he does indeed do. One of Chris's co-workers, he had found emails between Chris and Nicole and wanted to turn them in for evidence. Coincidentally, at that same time, the bad Nicole decided to come forward to police and tell what was going on from her side. Also, the same guy who turned in the emails, he turned in Chris's GPS that was in his truck, and then Chris does a polygraph test, and Chris fails miserably. He just fails. So we have the FBI sitting down with Chris, pushing him to confess. Chris keeps saying he doesn't know. They look up the GPS that was in Chris's truck and they see where Chris went. Authorities do a drone shot. So they get a drone shot of the workspace and they spot the bed sheets that were missing from the home.